welcome to the Roundtable Podcast. My name is Galahad, and I am interviewing today my great friend and knight of the Roundtable, Kashaeka. Loved by all. We will get to know her a little better today. Make sure you join us first on the Roundtable Discord server, where we record every day, and also on YouTube and BitChute, where you can find over 200 of our podcast episodes. That being said, welcome, Kashaeka. How are you tonight?
I am feeling great.
I'm happy to hear that. I'm feeling great too. It's been a wonderful week, and this is a wonderful way to end my little vacation here. So, you have an interesting life, we know, because you've told us that you live in the forest in what you describe as a small box and have some kind of, gnome-like or survivalist life. So, can you describe your living scenario a little more for us?
It's not that rustic. Although in the winter, my water's frozen. Like I'm on a well, and when it gets cold, like in Canada, it gets cold. So my pipes freeze, and then I have to figure out where to go for the winter. Normally, I've been going south, right, somewhere south. If I can find good places, I usually plan about a year in advance, and I time everything. And being here is something I love to do during the spring and the fall. Summer as well, but I'm thinking maybe going somewhere else in the summer. But it's not uncomfortable. It's very comfortable. I'm surrounded by nature. I call all the animals around me my nature neighbors, and there's quite a few. I really like it. I love the serenity of it. I love the peace. Sometimes I've been working on these pathways that are made out of moss, and they go around the property through the forest. And I sometimes like to take my shoes off, and I'll go barefooting on the moss. I love it. I really do. It's a lot of work. Sometimes I'm raking leaves in the fall or the autumn for a good 2 weeks of 4 to 6 hour days. And then I burn them. I burn all my leaves. And then I do like big bonfires. And it's open to the sky with all its stars. I see shooting stars. And yeah, it's gorgeous. I love it. I'm away from city, but I do love the city. But yeah, I'm away from the city. And sometimes my brother with his friends or family comes up in the summer, and then they do their party weekend or whatever. We do bonfires all the time, but that's one of the things I really like doing up here. And yeah, just basically living more of a simple life. I walk to here or there if I can. It's a smaller community. I really enjoy that. Yeah.
So, what was I going to say? Total stoner moment. So what province of Canada do you live in right now? If you
I'm in Ontario. Ontario.
One of the nicest provinces where I would like to move soon as well. I live, of course, in Manitoba. But, so what do you do to keep busy when you're out there? I mean, you're not working. You're here a lot of the time, which is great. But what other hobbies and so forth do you have to keep you busy when you're out in the woods?
Well, I'll back up a bit. I retired when I was 47 years old. And the year that I realized I was 47, I basically missed half of a year. But when I was 45, I would announce to everybody at work that I was going to be retiring at 47, and they thought I was crazy. And then I ended up having to move up here because of my late husband. He was retired, but military, and so we knew he was dying. And I thought he was going to have a lot more time, but he ended up getting hit by a car on his ATV. So it actually helped to speed up the process for him. He was dealing with some pretty serious body and mind and all sorts of different issues, right? So I became his caregiver, and he was retired, and we needed to get out of the city, right? Because of the stresses that he was dealing with. So at the time, nobody had been coming up here. This was our family cottage. And so nobody had been coming up here for about 2 years. And my mother and I were talking one day, and she basically said she didn't really care about the cottage anymore. So then at that time, we were trying to find a place outside of the city. So then we moved up here because she said, go ahead. And that was, I had to retire. I wasn't going to be doing a 3-hour commute into the city each way. So we basically took that time I became his caregiver, But at the same time, I was up here in a place that I loved, and it was a place where he found peace. So that was really cool. And then that's when I got into the habit of going down south somewhere for this winters, because of the fact that this would freeze up here, and then the electricity bill would be like $750 for the month, right? So I might as well put that money towards being in a nice, comfortable, sunny location instead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're a very spiritual person, and I've heard you talk a fair bit about some of your ideas. Can you give us an introduction to your sort of beliefs or belief system?
My belief system.
Yeah, because I mean, I would characterize you as maybe having a bit of a new age spirituality. I'm not sure if you, yeah. So what
For
kind of
sure.
thing were you into?
Well, I used to talk to everybody around me about the things that were on my mind, right? And my family, I could talk to them growing up, but sometimes they just look at me like, how is it that I was thinking that or whatever. And then when I went into high school and stuff like that, same thing. And, college was pretty much just, college. But yeah, even then, basically all my life I'd been talking about my beliefs and my thoughts. And, what if, dreams are real life and your real life is just a dream, right? That kind of stuff. And I was always able to just to know some things and to feel some things, feel people's emotions. There's so much. Energetically, I've since learned, because one of my favorite sayings is "know thyself." But oh my God, I'm nervous. Oh,
There's nothing to be nervous about. We're just talking. But like, are you interested in, for example, astrology?
well, okay, so I started learning all sorts of different things because I realized that there was connections between everything, and I could see connections between everything growing up on different things, right? And then on top of that, I would feel the energetics associated with all that. So it's part of the memories of the different events that I'd go through was not just because I went through some childhood traumas and stuff like that. So that makes a person hyper aware, right? That you're dealing with PTSD. Basically, I have chronic PTSD or the CPTSD, or used to have, because I worked through that. But so those make a person hyper aware. And I already, my personality and just who I am the hyper aware person to begin with. So whenever I'd experience as an adult any kind of situation, any kind of events, I record everything. So my mind is seeing my eyes are seeing everything, my ears are hearing everything, and I've got like really good hearing. Same with the sense of smell. And on top of that, I was able to record with those memories, the memories of what I was sensing from people, what I was feeling from their emotions. And then on top of that, I was also, it's like I was just tapping into everything there is, everything. So I was also recording different impulses or thoughts or different like images sometimes at the time. So all that gets recorded with different events right through my life. I've since healed a lot of the stuff since the passing of my late husband, because I figured I'm taking the time to mourn that, and I'm mourning a lot of things, so I might as well just do it all, right? And I've been working on integrating all the different shards of my energetic being. I was working on that maybe for the last 10 years, and 2 years ago I decided I wanted to go through a reset, an energetic reset. So I had to really kick up the gears and make sure that all of my energetic shards from any timeline, any dimension, everything to do with who I am as a symphonic, amazing spark of light, right? So I just wanted to know thyself, and to be able to do that, I had to investigate through different sources and everything from biology to physics. I was into quantum physics when I was in my mid-20s, and I'm 50, I'll be 52 this year. So I was born in 69. And I was dealing with a lot of this stuff before the majority of people started talking about it and stuff. But I'm a blabbermouth and I've traveled quite a bit. So I got to talk to a lot of people about my beliefs. And then they're all like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I'm glad.
We'll get into the spiritual aspects of things more, but since we're also conspiracy rooted, what are your opinions on things like, for example, aliens? I'll ask you the traditional 3 questions of conspiracy. So first, what is your take on aliens and UFOs? Have you seen UFOs? What do you think?
Okay, so I was born in Peru, and part of the culture there is just to know that they're real, right? Everything from the skulls that were found in Barracas in Peru to the Nazca lines to they've got pyramids, they've got all sorts of there's a lot of archaeological information, and I've seen some of them. And on top of that, there's, my relatives that have seen them. And at the same time, I also know that a part of me is from so many places. Actually, I'm a mix of many things, biologically and also energetically, and I love it. I think it's allowed me to be more of a inquisitive type of person, at the same time somebody that's able to relate with a lot of people because of all my experience, my life experiences and stuff like that. And at the same time, energetically, I can sense people, right? Like there's a man I'm talking to on the phone, and during different emotional states, I'm able to pick up on different energetic scents, basically like a scent. That's how it first comes in, and then I just feel the energy about it, not so much the scent anymore. Sometimes I get the scent too, but that's an energetic connection that I've been able to make because of me being able to tap into their frequency, their vibe, basically, right? Their soul song, I like to call it. Yeah. Sorry, what was the question?
Well, I was wondering if you'd ever seen a UFO. I mean, in Canada,
so
sometimes it's a hot spot out there in the woods, especially you're more likely to see strange things. So, have you
yeah,
ever witnessed any UFOs or unexplained lights while you're out in the Ontario woods?
yeah, I have, and I just remember looking at them, and they're like weird. I remember coming up here too on the weekends or whatever, just as a little getaway type thing, right? Growing up. I would, I had something called, I would call it a nightly visitor, but basically it was like some form of energy. It was something. I don't know what it was. I know as a child I had problems with, I would draw like a reptilian type of creature at the end of my bed. And I remember as a teenager, I was pulled off my bed by my feet, right? And there was something that was always bothering me. One time I was lifted up off my bed and started to turn around, and there was all this like blue energetic swirls that were going all around me, like sparkling purples and stuff. It was really cool. But as I was being turned in the air off of my bed, maybe a foot off my bed, I just remember starting to freak out, and then it was dropped. But when it came to aliens, I knew they were part of my life. I have some memories of things from uh, whether or not I've actually seen any, no, just the lights. Okay, so coming up here, I would look out the window and I'd see like a light that would do something strange. It would come down and then all of a sudden go to the left or the right or whatever. And just recently, maybe about 2 years ago, I saw three, and then they kind of shot off in different directions. I, I've seen little things like that, nothing face to face or encountered anything where I could say, oh my God, I'm going to take a picture, that type of thing, Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. And how about when it comes to like ghosts or the undead or spirits or anything along those lines?
Yeah. So psychic abilities runs in my family on my mother's side, and I don't know if my father's side, but I think so because I think he's the one that actually taught me a little bit of my energetic sensing as playing as a child when he would tickle me, right? Um, um, oh crap! What was the question?
I was asking if you believe in or have experienced ghosts, poltergeists, spirits, or anything like that.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So the reason why I brought up the psychic ability thing is because one of my uncles, who was, he used to help different archaeological digs and stuff like that. But when he passed away, I got to meet him before he passed away, and we had a good talk. And I asked him why he didn't, use his abilities more. And he told me he was a lawyer, right? And there's a certain stigma to it all, so he couldn't do that publicly, really. But anyways, when he passed, I felt him. I was talking to my mother in the kitchen, and I had a blanket around me. We were just talking, and all of a sudden I felt this breeze on me, like a cold breeze, but nothing harmful or anything. And there was no windows open. We checked because I was talking to my mother about it afterwards, and then my mother got the phone call saying that her uncle had died or had passed, and that was him. I used to have prophetic dreams of basically if any of my teeth fell out, depending on the tooth position, that type of thing. Within 3 days, somebody I knew would die, right? Ghosts, there was one that would be my I couldn't figure out if it was my nightly visitor or if my nightly visitor was something else, but I'm pretty sure it was a ghost, like some sort of spirit. My brother said he saw one time in my room when he had to sleep in there one time. My grandmother had to sleep in my bed, and she constantly kept getting poked all night long. So I knew I had something because sometimes he got sexual with me, and a couple of times he followed me up here, right? But that's my encounters with a spirit. Oh, there was another time where friends of mine used to take me to ghost hunting, and they would have all the equipment and like all the digital like recording equipment and stuff. And we went through an abandoned psychiatric ward from the 50s. That before that, it was some form of CIA or spy testing grounds or something. I can't remember the details. Or yeah, training grounds. But anyways, so we're going around at night. They like to go at midnight, and it bothered me to go that late because it creeped me out, right? So now at the same time, I'm curious. I'll be walking around and stuff, and they'd be measuring with all their counters, things, and cameras and whatever. And then we were walking down towards the basement part of it, and like these almost like high school staircase going down. So we're going down there, and I'm thinking, and I'm starting to feel queasy, and I hear, I'm down here. So I freaked out. I'm not going down there. I'm not going down there. No, actually, sorry. We didn't hear that at the time. I just had this really bad feeling, and I didn't want to go down there, right? So I just turned back. We went back to the car later on after we finished everything, and now they're listening through the recorded devices, basically. And that's when they heard that voice, like a man's voice, scratchy, saying, I'm down here. But it was like a whispering, like a loud whispering. And that freaked me out. And I got all mad with them. Don't ever take me anywhere like this before again, right? What else? My brother and my mother actually saw something up here that they like to call the hairy pickle, which they both saw something driving around the corner here. And my brother said to my mother, okay, don't draw anything or don't say anything. Just when we get back, draw what you saw. And they both drew the same thing. And then they called it like a 7-foot hairy pickle. That was like a long gray brown hair. But that's not me personally seeing that. And then apparently my sister's friends who were up not that far from where we are saw the same thing. And then there's stories from the area that I'm into that some people have seen some things, but those have been my encounters that I can say with a 100% fact that that's what I've experienced. Comes to the stuff I've known of, that's different, right? Like my origins are not just like I was saying genetic, but like mixed. But I'm also I'm a part of different star systems and different dimensions. So I'm mostly this person here because I didn't really start to focus on any of that side of me growing up. So I just have certain capabilities, but they're not really trained. You know what I mean? I don't know what some things are or whatever, but I do have like different clairs, clairsentience, clairaudience, claircognizance. There's a couple more. I just don't remember what they are.
Well, can you just elaborate a little bit about how those abilities, precognition, clairaudience, etc., have manifested in your life or what you've experienced with them?
Yeah, just knowing things. Sometimes it sucks to just know things. Let's say I'll be washing dishes, and all of a sudden I just hear a conversation about me between two people, and then I'll get a phone call saying, we were just talking about you, blah, 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 whatever, stuff like that. Or just knowing things like that. That's part of the claircognizance. Sometimes it's also getting a big picture of an event, you know what I mean, of different events. I also knew I don't know why, but for the last week I've been trying to remember the name of a facility that was up north that was started, like it was up and running sometime in the mid to late 80s. And it was supposed to have something to do with sending out some sort of beams of energetic pulse or something to maybe control the weather.
HARP.
I don't remember. That's it, HARP. There you go. Oh my God, thank you. Yes. So I remember walking to school one day and I looked up, I felt something and I looked up and I looked in that direction and I sensed that. And then later on, I found out about that. Yeah, I dove right deep into all that rabbit hole stuff. Oh my God. I spent a good decade doing that stuff. A lot of good information was out there, really good stuff. Oh my God.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
what that
So,
does is it shoots energy waves to heat up the jet streams, and it messes with the jet stream, so it'll mess with weather patterns and shit. And they've been
yeah.
doing it all up there. So
Yeah, and on that note, why don't thank you so much for answering my questions, and I certainly have more. But why don't we open it up for anyone in the audience who wants to ask questions or comment on anything as well?
Okay, cool. I like that. Thank you, by the way, because I've been looking for that for a while. But
Does
yeah,
any-
I felt that. And at the same time, I've been able to just know some things too. Like sometimes I'll have these precognitive dreams, which are great and all, but sometimes they confuse me, right? Because I, so I'll have a dream about something and then I go through it again. And then, everybody's gone through the deja vu moments, right? But it's not just a deja vu feeling. I remember different events. And then I think to myself, what the hell am I supposed to be learning from this? Am I supposed to have taken that as some sort of warning, or why am I given that information? Obviously, if I was given some information, there must be a reason for me being given that information. But if it's about nothing really, then I don't really understand what to do with it, right? Aside from the fact that I'm noting that I'm able to know, okay, what's going to be happening next because of that. And it kind of just puts me into this a feeling of, okay, so now what? So I'm just like wide-eyed and just going for the ride, right? Yeah.
So does anyone have a question for Kashaeka while we have a chance here?
I had to unmute my thing. Yeah, I do. So you said like you have a type of like clairaudience.
Mm.
Would you say that you're somebody who has a type of like spirit guide or like a guardian angel or something like that?
Yes, I believe that there's definitely guardian angels that like to work with me, and they have throughout my life because I've just felt their presence type of thing. And then later on, talking to different people in different communities and stuff, and the ones that would talk about angels and stuff would talk about me. Well, actually, I was doing a meditation one time. I was supposed to be meeting our just doing a meditation. I can't remember what it was about. But at the time, that's when I met Archangel. This one hung around me and like worked with me. And thank you very much, by the way, once again. And I didn't know anything about angels back then, right? I knew about some of the names, but I didn't really know about this one. So I told them. They were asking me which one did you deal with? I think it was something to do with angels or something, a meditation. And I said, oh, it was Raziel. So now they're all looking at each other and I'm thinking, okay, so they said, do you know who it is? I said, no. So they said, okay, you should look it up. So then since then I've looked it up and it has something to do with, what was it again? The right hand of God, the one that records events or something like that. I can't remember. But I thought that was really cool. And then I realized, that angel, that being, that incredible purity, really, but centered and very anyways.
So just like for context, so Raziel in Hebrew means secret of God and is an angel within the teachings of Jewish mysticism of the Kabbalah, who is the keeper of secrets and the angel of mysteries. He is associated with the Sephirah Hokmah and the second of 10 in Uriah, whatever that, I don't know what that is. One of the four worlds of Kabbalistic theory.
My life has been filled with so many things that I've been dealing with that I wanted to do research on each one of them, and I did. But, there's only so much time a person has to look stuff up. And I've got notes about all sorts of different things, everywhere. But because everything was coming so quick, I just really learned how to go with the flow, right? And dealing with things as I went. And then I also started learning that over time, I can manifest, and that was a problem. Until a person actually heals themselves, it can be like a big problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I took a
at
lot
what
of time
age
to heal
did you
myself.
learn you were a dirty hippie?
I was always a dirty hippie all my life. Oh my God. My sister used to say I was born in the wrong time and that I should have been born in the hippie time because I was, right? I believed in what Jesus' teachings are love each other, right? Basically, that's what I believe in. And I always used to think that people were just like me so that they would be treating me just like I would treat them type of thing. But no. Yeah, life is an amazing experience that's full of ups and downs and all sorts of learning moments. And over time, I started to realize that I was causing a lot of my patterned problems. So I then had to focus on what was in me that was causing those. So I decided to start to really dive deep into a lot of my traumas and stuff like that. And then a lot of the wounds that I've picked up throughout life. I was able to heal a lot of them growing up. And the fact that I'm able to energetically just know some things, just know some things. Sometimes I'll get images of this or that, or like watching a little commercial segment of a person's life or something like that, or a situation. And then knowing that would actually be something that would hurt me, or if I, talked about that moment with anybody else, who, like the person who it was dealing with or whatever, then it could bring up uncomfortable things because usually that kind of stuff triggers people, and I can trigger people. I don't mean to.
Mm-hmm.
I know that for being on the server, I've been really good making sure that I'm not triggering people because, you guys are in a place right now. I'm in the round table, the place where I can go and just enjoy the company of other people and have great conversation. I like it. And it's a great group. I love it. So like the people in there are what make the round table. And I didn't want to mess that up in any way. So I didn't want to allow part of I'm considered what they call a Hyoka empath. I'm also an indigo and an INFJ and friggin' Gemini sun, Libra moon, and Sagittarius ascendant. That's at 29 degrees. So I've been through my life experiences and stuff, and I've learned so much. And I know I've been able to energetically start to play with who I am as a being. So I extend myself out. Like I was doing my drive up here today. It took me 2.5 hours. And I was energetically extending myself out, playing while I was listening to music and stuff. I love to do that. And it's a fun thing to do. And so I learned because I am a manifestor. I had to watch what I was thinking because that will eventually come true. And recently it's been happening faster and faster. And yeah.
So I've got a question. You talked about this presence or this being that follows you. Can you go more into detail about that?
Well, they got rid of that. I say they because my cousin came over one time when I was in my mid to late teens. I'd say maybe about 17. So she came over with her cousin to visit and stuff, and she brought over a Ouija board. Well, don't play with those ever, right? They didn't know what they were doing, and now all of a sudden I've got this thing following me, right? While I sleep, basically. He was there while I would sleep, and he would start to do sexual things. And at first it was like, it freaked me out, and then after a while, I liked it. How can you not really? And then I told them the story about it a couple of years later, and then they're like, "Oh, you said you should have told me." So now my two cousins ran upstairs, and I think that they prayed in my room, and that's after that it was gone, right? So that was a spirit, probably, maybe. I know with energetic beings. Okay, so there was a conversation about this earlier today, but or yesterday, but people will leave impressions, energetic impressions, and it follows people almost like clouds. Whether they're good or bad, I'm thinking mostly about the bad ones. But if a person goes through traumas or if they have any kind of fears or any kind of negative emotions, these energetic kind of like a cloud, dark clouds kind of just get stuck to them, and they need to feed off of more. Some people call something similar those archons and stuff like that, right? I know I'm a mix of, there is the reptilian in me, right? I can't remember the name of it. I know I'm also Arcturian and I'm Syrian. And then there's Lyran, and I have a bit of some others, but they are more distant. They haven't been labeled in places I've seen so far. I've had some people read me and they do pick up on that. I'm exposing a lot right now.
And can you also, like you talked very briefly about that you're also in multiple dimensions as well. And
Yeah.
we talked about a lot with people on the server like Yeshua. So can you go into detail about that and what that means to you?
Okay, so let's start off with the merging of timelines right now. It's been happening quite a bit. And this is where I've wondered whether or not it was my dream that would give me it, like if I was having a precognitive dream, that would give me like the deja vu sensation, or if it was something else. And I realized that it's a combination of things, right? So I have memories of what I would have from this moment back. And when I go to confirm those with people in my family or people that would know, they say, no, it actually happened differently. And if that was only just once, then that'd be different, right? But this is happening now for a couple of years, several, maybe 3-4 years. Initially, it wasn't so. Actually, no, that's been happening for most of my life. Those deja vu. No. I'm trying to think back. Yeah, maybe my late teens. But it wouldn't happen that, or actually, I just didn't realize it, right? Because it was just part of my everyday being, or whatever. I've just become more aware of it in the last maybe about 5 years, because I was trying to figure out what the hell it was. And then I started realizing that the memories I started remembering this one and that one, and it's like the memories kind of just merge. I don't know how to better describe it. And then I saw that movie, The One, with Jet Li. I love those kind of movies. And I used to do Kung Fu. Oh, I loved it. And I started realizing that something was going on with time, and I knew that time around me would be wonky sometimes. Sometimes in the past, I used to be able to slow it down. I used to be able to speed it up. I used to be able to work with cloud formation. I used to love looking at the clouds. That's why I noticed the chemtrails when they started. I noticed the sun when it started to change, because I used to look at the sun a lot. I like to sun gaze too. There's been so many changes and so many things. Okay, so now the different dimensions.
So, are you saying like basically you have constantly for the last few years been experiencing reoccurring Mandela effect,
Yeah, that's
right? So it's like where everybody else remembers something
yeah,
one way, but
yeah,
you remember it a completely different way. Like,
yeah.
Well, I had a specific question I wanted to ask. You mentioned the way that you had noticed the sun changing. So can
Yeah.
you just elaborate on what you've noticed and what you think's going on with the sun?
Sure. I basically grew up trying to just learn about my body, right? I remember learning young about breathing and stuff, because I was in grade 3. They brought somebody into my school to teach us how to do long distance running, right? So that's when I first started becoming aware of my body, because now he's teaching us about the stretches and stuff like that, how to loosen your joints, and then how to breathe, what pace, the pacing for your breaths and stuff like that. So growing up, I was always inquisitive about my body and learning about the physical form and the function and stuff like that. And oh crap, what was the question again? I go back to just give you some
My
information.
question was just what you've noticed changing about the sun. You mentioned that you
Yes.
noticed
Okay.
changes with
So
the sun. So what have
yeah.
you noticed, and what do you think's happening?
Okay. So when I was younger, I used to wonder about how my eyes would move up and down, because sometimes I worn glasses since I was 5. I'd go to the eye doctor, optometrist, ophthalmologist, and he would put these dark drops in my eyes, right? So the light would come in differently. So after that, I would just look at the sun to see if, like, the difference. I looked at everything. So sometimes I'd look at the sun to see what the sun looked like. And I would be able to actually look at the sun and see the corona and see the darker dot in the center, because I guess maybe my eyes were correcting. I don't remember. I don't know. But I was able to see the sun, and I was able to look at it for maybe a split second, maybe even a little bit longer, maybe about 3 seconds without a problem. And I used to like looking at the sun. It was something that I enjoyed doing. So then as time went by, as I became more of a teenager, now I was maybe in my 20s, I noticed that the sun started changing. It was getting brighter, like more intense. And even up to about 10 years ago, I couldn't look at the sun anymore, like normal. Now I can do the sun gazing at the sunrise and sunset, right? The half an hour before and after. Or before each, whatever, you know what I mean? So I haven't been able to look at the sun like I used to when I was younger. Now it's just too intense, too bright. And I know that there's been a lot of solar activity, right? And we're dealing with more gamma rays. I realize that. There's been a lot of changes, right? Our atmosphere has changed. The sun has intensified what we receive from it. I don't know if it itself is. I haven't really gotten that type of imprint from the sun that way. I think it has more to do with. I never really thought about it.
It's really trippy that you say it. So even still today, you have a hard time looking at the sun.
Yeah, unless it's during those two time frames I was telling you about.
Dawn and dusk. Yeah.
Yeah, dawn and dusk, you can look at them, right? That's when people do their sun gazing stuff, where you ground yourself and then you just stare at the sun for like a couple seconds, and then you work up to like 15 or whatever.
Is it bizarre that like literally at like 12 o'clock in the day, I go outside for a smoke at work and like stare into the sun for 2 to 5 minutes?
You did it?
No, I do it like all the time. Every time the sun's out, I take an opportunity. I'm going to go outside for a smoke. I'm going to stare at the sun until I can literally see like the radiation waves and like the fucking magnetic field. It's actually badass when you do it, but like,
yeah, I know, but I haven't been able to do it.
I don't think it's bright. Like, it sucks at the first thing when you first, but like you just got to kind of look at it for a couple seconds, look away, look at it for like, a couple seconds more. And once you can already like get to the point where you're looking at it and like it kind of gets easier every time.
Are you using sunglasses? Because I'm using
no sunglasses. Like,
well, that's kind of dangerous. I know you're not supposed to do it.
I do this every day. I have perfect 20/20 vision.
Okay.
This idea that the sun like destroys your eyesight is fucking bullshit.
Okay.
The round table does not endorse staring directly into the sun. I've done it as well. I don't recommend it. But let's return to Kashaeka. Does anyone have a question for Kashaeka?
Sorry, did I answer your question? Okay, so the dimension. Can I didn't get a chance to. I was leading up to it basically, and I'm sorry. And I know sometimes I have to. I've learned that I have to lead up to things, otherwise people will sometimes just not understand what I'm talking about. So, when it comes to different dimensions, I'm able to feel myself energetically, and I have memories of myself in other. I know there are other places, I call them other, well, I think they are other dimensions actually. Energetically, there'll be times where I'm radiating myself out, where I am now no longer just dealing with this dimension. Now I'm more in an energetic kind of etheric type of dimension. It's a higher up, like anywhere between, sometimes in 5, sometimes I'm in 7. You know what I mean?
Okay.
How do I know? You just know. Do I see things? Yeah, sometimes I see things. Can I explain what they are? I've seen Saturn and Jupiter over top of each other. They were overlapping, but this was during an astral workshop. Basically, I was doing, and I saw this huge beam of light to the left of that, and people were going in and out, and that was representing. I didn't know about this at the time, the Saturn Jupiter conjunction, right? And there was quite a bit that happened in that, but that I was tapping into intentionally. And I normally don't tap into the different dimension aspects of myself energetically. I don't tap into those intentionally. Usually it's almost like when it's when I'm almost in like in a meditative type of state. I'll be doing something, maybe not really thinking about it, and all of a sudden I'll just have flashes of like an insight that this is where I am as well, not just where I am here physically. And then, but that time when I did the astral travel, it was me going there, but intentionally. Like I intended to do that. But I just don't have much experience of actually doing it on purpose. What have I seen? I've seen. Okay. I saw one time I was going up above the earth. And I did see a curvature, by the way, but it was big. It was big. And there was it seemed like these black funnels that were going up way into the sky, kind of like into almost like a firmament type of idea, like a dome type of idea, where all of those funnels opened up and now it was just like a black nothing on the other side. And I was too, I don't know why, but I didn't want change or any kind of big change in my life at the time. I was dealing with a lot of things. So I kind of hung around the outs, like just the edge of the funnel. And I'm looking around and I'm looking at the horizon and I'm seeing them in different places throughout the world. And that was a really cool moment. And no, I wasn't on anything. It was just, I was in like a meditative state, just doing whatever, right? I used to oil paint. I used to play classical guitar, and I would get different, just imprints of different things when I would just be in that state of flow, allowing myself to just be. And that's pretty much where I've lived a big chunk of my life. So a lot of times I know that I'm tapping into everything there is. And that's when I know I'm down at the quantum level. That's why I kind of knew about it before I started learning about it when I was in my late 20s. But I didn't really learn too much. I just started to because I was interested in it. And then I got the basic gists of what they were explaining. And I thought, yeah, that matches up to what I've experienced, right? So then I kind of drop it. At the time, there was a lot of interviews happening with the military too through that Project Camelot and stuff. That was really cool stuff to be listening to. There was so much information out there about so many different things. And yeah, you know what? There's a lot that goes on. There was times when I sensed the entrance to an underground facility. And I know that it was similar to the concept, the idea, the clear cognizance that I knew. Well, it just allowed me, and I even met the man twice.
In those states, in those altered states of consciousness where you are astral traveling, are you in direct lucid control, or are you in more of an observer role in those moments?
Like first player?
Do you have complete awareness of your positioning, or do you believe that you are just acting as the observer, maybe to another aspect of the self that is maybe conducting some sort of other higher ordered or dimensional, operations that have to be conducted, and you're just watching another aspect of yourself do things? Or do you feel that you are lucidly in control of that space that you've observed in those moments?
Okay, so I'm thinking two separate things, right? So when I've experienced that moment, I was aware of myself, but I was more focused on what was happening in my head or energetically, or the combination of the two, right? It was more of just going with the flow and going where my focus was not on the physical form of myself. Like I knew I was nice and comfortable and stuff. And I think I did start meditating. Yeah. But in the case of when I sensed, I just knew that there was this underground facility close to like these public locations. I also had a sense of who the creatures were that were down there. And then, lo and behold, I had a dream of where I was meeting one of them. And I saw the man, the form of this reptilian in my dream, meeting up with myself and my boyfriend at the time. And I thought that was strange. That was my dream. Later on, I actually was face to face with this man. And later on, I went back a couple of years later, and now this man came out looking for me when I was there with my new boyfriend. And it was, I recognized him, but not him as the face, him energetically. And I knew that there was an entrance to that place below. And I walked up to that entrance. The elevator I knew went down. It just, those moments, I was energetically tapping into what was there energetically. And I just got the picture of it all. But I was fully aware of that happening. So that's a different type of situation, right? That's the one was me in a meditative state where I was now focused more on what was happening outside of my physical form. And then the one that with underground location, that one was more of me being in my physical form, but still being being aware, having a small tap to the energetic, if that makes any sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But
cool.
in those states where you need to, when you said you were focusing on like yourself in that form there, were you like acting as maybe almost like a like internal voice of that other aspect of yourself? Like, was there a dialogue going on during that time between your observational point and yourself in that other space? Like, is there a dialogue between you?
No, there's no dialogue. It's just being. I was just being, There's been moments where I have memories from first person. And then there's moments where I have, like when I was just hanging on the edge of the funnel at the very top of nothing, it was almost like a void type of thing, but it wasn't, there was no negative feeling whatsoever. There's no feeling. It was just like a quietness, almost as if what the stuff that you would think space would be like, right? But it was just, I just hung out there. And then I had a third person perspective of the whole thing. You know what I mean? So that changed. So, but I've also known that I've done that throughout my life. Most of my childhood, big chunks of my childhood are from third person perspective, like up and maybe to my back right or to the right side of me. So that changes, right? Are you still there?
Yeah, that's super interesting. You
Yeah.
remember that story that you told me the other day about like you like went up this like pillar and you like encountered like these like dragon things. Could you reiterate that story? That was super interesting.
Oh, that's okay. So that was an astral travel homework I was supposed to do for that workshop I was telling you about. So, oh, okay, I'll tell you that. I like that one because I got to meet my dragon, and I've always known I've had a dragon. I am a dragon. I know that, right? I painted one on with oil on my wall in my bedroom when I was a teenager, off of the the Dio album. That was my first concert. So I got myself into the meditative state, but it's more of a sense of relaxation. And now I'm in my launch off place, basically, right? To go into the astral realm. I made myself like a portal out of gold. And so I stepped through that. And once I stepped through that on the other side, now I'm in an area similar to what I just described about like almost like a space thing, but it's just like nothing's around. But when I first stepped into it, because I had no intentions of anything, I cleared my mind. I didn't have any desire for any type of interaction. I was just going to go and experience. So I first step out and I now see this triangle. This is the one that you're telling me about? Is that the one you want me to talk about?
Yeah, that's the story. It was really interesting.
Okay. So this is a triangle. I'm seeing it. If I'm looking straight ahead, that's 12 o'clock. So now it's about maybe 11:30. 11, whatever, 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 12. No, farther down, about 10, 11 o'clock. Okay, so about 11 o'clock, maybe a bit in, there was this triangle that was maybe about 30 feet out, and it was white. It was glowing white, and at the top, it had like this, like a more intensified glow, all white. So now I'm looking ahead. I didn't really, I tried to figure out what that was, but it's a shape, right? So now I'm going forward and I see in the distance there's something that was catching my attention. So I went and I saw that it was like a curtain of a green flame like plasma. It was the coolest thing ever. So I went towards it and it's like a almost emerald green, but darker, right? So now I go towards that and then I go through it and I didn't feel anything bad. It kind of felt neat, like nice. I liked it. And then I now see something else in the distance and it's kind of faint and I'm thinking, what is that? There's something there. So then it started to come a little closer and it started to kind of like go from like a hazy cloud type of thing to now I can see that it's a big eye. So much so that it's like twice my height type of thing, the eye itself, right? So I see this eye and I realize I look at it and then I recognize that it's an eye and I felt that it recognized me. So now we had this sense of recognition, like, okay, hi, there you are. No emotion, nothing associated with it aside from, hey, there you are, that type of thing. So then as soon as I did, I saw that the side of like a big, huge, like a dark golden, almost brushed, but not quite, like a darker golden face of a huge dragon. That eye was part of this huge dragon. So now I'm looking at its right side of its face, and it turns around, and now I'm seeing the full face, the neck. Now it's exposing itself, revealing itself. Actually, it was revealing itself, and it wasn't scary or anything. It was looking at me, and then it kind of like gave me his shoulder, and I jumped on the back of his shoulder. So now, it was like a her. I don't know. Can't really say what the gender was, but anyways. So now I'm on its back, and we're zooming through, like going towards, let's say, direction time wise, maybe 3 o'clock now, right? We're going 2, 1:50, quarter after 1. About then, yeah, about that direction. So now we're going off in that direction, and I could tell we were going to go for a little bit, and then I got a sense that I needed to go back. Something was wrong or something was going on. So I went back. Right, it was like an instant thing, and I didn't see any silver cord or anything like that. And I personally haven't seen a silver cord, but I think that's the energetic connection a person has. So, anyways, it's like a memory, almost like a memory stream. But in my case, it's just I just instantly went back with just the thought of it. So now I'm back to where the triangle was, but this time just to the left of the triangle, there's this creature, almost like a big worm snake, where the head and the neck were the same. And now its neck is up, its head's down, and it's looking at me with these jet black eyes. And I could tell that was void inside of there. And it was like doing the I'm going to attack you now stance, right? So now I don't know why I do this, but I like to kind of color the white, the black in with white. It's like a white light from me type of thing, like my spirit energy, basically. So I cover it like I'm coloring it in white, right? But in a defensive mode for me. And then I noticed that the triangle starts to beam white intense beam of light at me. And then I realized it wasn't really at me, it was more to my right. So then I look and I get the sensation that somebody's now there, and I realize it was Horus. And he now stepped in, used the beam from the triangle, and he directed it towards that snake creature thing with the black eyes. And I got the sensation of, I got this. You can go back. So then I went back.
Yeah, and that story was like phenomenal. It blew me away. Like, it's like, from my perspective, right, as somebody who it has, like, you know, for the last quite a bit tried to attain higher states of consciousness, and I basically like study like Merkaba mechanics and like the ascension process. Basically, like in your vision, it's almost like you essentially got your consciousness all the way to your 12th dimensional level, and there was this big mean serpent, black eyes, not moving, menacing, but not doing anything. And essentially, like, you provoked it. And when that happened, your like 12th dimensional avatar, like guardian, came in and came to come help you. And it was like, I got this fight. You made it here. I got this now. Go back down. And like that's my perspective on it. It like blew me away.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also got the perspective that aside from that, right? When I was traveling with my dragon, and I think she's got some, or yeah, I think she has something to do with. I'm thinking she's about the same, right? She's up there in a different dimension, basically. I was there with her, and she has been waiting for me, and I've been dragging my friggin' feet for too long. And I know this is all God given, and otherwise it wouldn't be with me. I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't because of the creator of all there is, right?
Mm-hmm. I said this the other day to Egg Based, actually. I said, you don't choose the great work. The great work chooses you.
Oh, yeah.
So on that note, is there anyone who hasn't had a chance to ask a question to Kashaeka yet, or wanted to make a comment at this point?
I believe that healing childhood wounds, any kind of traumas, and everybody has them throughout life, right? Though this part in my life hurt me type of moments, right? I think that that's extremely important for people to heal for themselves. Come to accept them, come to realize that their memories are based out of that age, that child's, in my case, I had some from, let's say, 3 years old. I had to realize that 3-year-old looked at the situation different than what an adult does now, right? So I had to go back and hold that 3-year-old and help that one know that everything's going to be okay now. Yes, that happened. It shouldn't have happened. Sorry it happened. And I'm going to love you. So when people do that for themselves, it helps them to level off their energy. So the energy that a person radiates out is what they're going to be receiving. And if a person notices that they have a lot of repetitive situations in their life, and then they need to look at the common denominator, which is themselves, right? So once they look at themselves as that common denominator, they can start to trace what those indicators are trying to let them know. So basically, they're trying to point at something that needs to be healed inside of them. And once you start to heal those things inside of you, you don't radiate that out anymore because you no longer resonate that. You no longer are playing that tune because you've dealt with that tune. You've gotten rid of that tune. You don't need it anymore. It was a part of you. You've integrated the aspects of you that you've created because of that. Everybody goes through these moments that teach them how to have certain skills. I call them tools in your tool belt. There's certain skills that they develop over life, and those developed skills now will help them with the life that they have that day going forward. All of these things, everybody, I think it's beneficial, basically.
And basically the key to everything is to heal the self, right?
Yeah. And know thyself is very important. Yeah.
Know
And then,
thyself.
when it comes to tapping into everything there is, that's, you're dealing with the different brain states. It's a scientific thing already. They know this. It's been studied. It's been, the theta, delta, alpha brain states, right?
Yeah.
They know that these are different states that the brain goes into, and then you could do different things within those. I know that they've been studying this for a very long time, so it's not like I'm talking gibberish here.
Yeah, completely coherent.
Yeah. I know sometimes it feels like I am if I talk about it.
Well,
because most of the audience doesn't quite understand what I'm saying, right? But when a person does understand, then it's like, oh, so then they say it's this, and that, talking technical terms, and I don't know the technical terms. I know the experiences.
and that's the thing, right, with reality is people who don't understand you think you're crazy, right? Because they hear these things and they're like, it just hits all these wires that don't connect and fires neurons that never fired before, and it just makes them feel like sick, uncomfortable, and they're like, you're not.
Yeah, that's where my Kashaeka empath comes in, right? I trigger people sometimes because if they have things that are unhealed in them, it will come out, because I'm almost like a mirror when it comes to that. And I don't mean to. That's why I typically won't spend too much time with people, right? Because I don't want to start to have that effect on them.
So I just wanted to ask Anne, is there anyone who hasn't had a chance yet who wants to ask a question to Kashaeka while we have her here?
I had a question.
Hello. You're roboting. I know.
Let's try leaving the room and coming back, Bear.
Yes,
And we'll give you
I'd
another
love
shot.
to hear the question. I've been to Australia. I lived there for about 2 months. I went to New Zealand for a week. I've been to Peru several times, usually for a month. I went to the UK when I was 25 for a work thing. I was there for 10 days of sightseeing and 3 days of work. What else? I like to travel to the Caribbean and Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico. I love Mexico.
So what was one of your favorite memories from all your travels?
I was telling somebody this the other day. I got stuck in a Mexican desert. We went to see the Baja runs, or those races that they do in Baja South, California South. So, anyways, we're doing I was in just outside La Paz, and I was there with my cousin who was there with her. It was her boyfriend at the time, but they were married previously, and then they got divorced. So anyways, him and his buddy, we finished watching the races. They had some to drink. We're in his Jeep, and we're going down these Mexican trail, like desert Mexican trail to get back to the city, right? To the town. And great scuba diving there, by the way. So now we're going back, and there's a big puddle, and I'm like saying to him, don't you think you should avoid the puddle? And he's like, no, I've got an 8-cylinder. Well, we got stuck. We're up to our, just about our knees in mud, like in fine silt. And we're now trying to push, couldn't push, gets dark. We're walking barefoot now, covered in mud, all dried up in the desert, barefoot, and no cell signal from the one person that had a cell phone. And it was gorgeous. The beautiful night sky in the desert. Oh my gosh, I love that terrain. That's a beautiful type of area. And so we're walking like 4 hours and nothing, right? We're lost. 4 of us, and somebody says, watch out for the snakes, and somebody says, watch out for the scorpions. So now we're walking single file. And then we finally come up to a lady that's driving a really old station wagon, and she's in there with her son. And my cousin's trying to ask her to drive us back to like a highway or something. And she's like, no. And her son, who's maybe about 10, 12 years old, he's got a shotgun on us. And we're all like, please, please. So now the lady allows the two guys to sit on the roof of the hood of the car in the front, and I'm up sitting in the back, and the son's sitting beside me with a shotgun, right? And we made it to the highway about maybe half an hour drive after. And now cell signal, and I was able to, they came with a pickup truck, and I was sitting in the back of the pickup truck on the highway under full star night, and they gave me a beer. I was in heaven. That was an amazing experience through my eyes. But different people look at things differently, and my cousin did not like that at all. She was furious the whole time. She was pissed.
Well,
That's one of my favorite memories. I've got tons.
that's a beautiful memory, and I'm sure we could get into tons more stories from your travels and other things. But I just want to give you the opportunity to, is there maybe a message you want people who listen to this podcast to take away, a closing thought or a core idea you had for the audience?
Life is magic. It really is. It's not just the physical form. And yeah, I do believe that there are some groups in this planet that are not doing good, but there are some that are wanting to do good. And not just human, but back to the love each other, right? Love one another. If we all did treat each other with respect and kindness and honoring the person that they're dealing with, then if we did that, then things would be a lot nicer between people, right? If we acted like a community that we are.
Right. I couldn't agree more. And you've been a great help in helping this community remain a positive place and become ever more positive with the great energy that you bring that everybody appreciates. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everything you contribute to the server, and we can certainly do more. I know a lot of people, myself included, would love to see, a regular Kashaeka show, Kashaeka hour, whatever the case may be. We can nail that down later. But at least we got your member interview in the bag, and it was nice to do another podcast after a little break, and we'll continue, of course, to produce them as we go forward. So if anyone has an idea, DM me. If you want to be on the podcast, DM me. You can schedule it yourselves, whatever you want to do. Okay, thanks so much, Kashaeka. Thanks everybody who listened and participated. God bless. Why don't we jump up to the pub for those who want to hang out further? And we will close this one now, but make sure you find this and all other podcasts on the Roundtable, YouTube, and BitChute, please. Thanks, Simon. Yeah.
Okay, so can I have some feedback?